I don't think you really know how big of an impact online business really can have on your life. And it's not just your life, but your relationship, your family's lives, literally everyone you know. I was able to make about $3 million in total revenue through my businesses. And about 2 million or a little over 2 million came from just selling online courses and group coaching. In fact, you can see here in my Thrive cart, a little bit less than that came just through Thrivecart, and it doesn't even include affiliate sales, private coaching, services, book sales, all the other things that I've also been doing in my business. So in this video, I want to share with you how to navigate getting started, plus some pivotal lessons I've been able to learn in my journey so that you can actually grow a lot faster and with way less challenges that I had to encounter. I took all of that together and narrowed it down into a 10-step process that allowed me to get started and see those types of results over time. And it's what actually helped me change my life forever through the medium of online business. And these are all the things that I've learned along the way through a lot of mistakes that I made and things I've tried and some successes I've had. And I was like, wow, that's a lucky coincidence. I want to share all of that with you so that hopefully through this video, you're able to learn from my failures and my lessons instead of having to make them yourself. So you can be extremely successful with your own online business way faster than I was. And before I ever called myself a coach, I was working a full-time 9-to-5 job in Chicago. I was managing social media for e-commerce brands at a digital agency. I'd already built a photography business doing event photography through college and just on weekends. And then I also ran a wellness blog where I mostly made money through affiliates, ads, and brand deals. And I even made my first website back in 2002. So I've actually been in the online space for quite a while, but it wasn't like a very intentional way of making money or presenting myself as a business owner. To me, all of these things I did were just kind of fun things I did to make money, but that was pretty much it. Now, when I decided to go into coaching, that was something entirely new, and it was something I was more intentional about. I wanted to treat it like a real business. I wanted it to be something that could actually give me money to the point where I could quit my 9-to-5 job, which the mentality was just very different. But obviously, as I was getting started, I didn't have a big audience. I actually didn't have an audience at all when it comes to talking about marketing. I also wasn't selling high ticket. I didn't know how to do sales calls. I just knew that I wanted more freedom, and I was willing to put the work in to figure it out. So as I started with coaching, I decided to connect with my local network, and my first client ever actually ended up being another photographer. So she liked the work that I did as a photographer, and she was okay with me coaching her, honestly, on just life. I thought I wanted to be a life coach at first, not necessarily focus on marketing. So she paid me $150 a month for 3 months, and we did one-on-one sessions on Skype, if you remember those. And honestly, I still remember how surreal it felt to have that first payment come through. It was incredible because up to that point, I made decent money from brand deals, but that was just very, very different, and it was sporadic. This was a guaranteed payment for 3 months. And it was just us having conversations in Skype, which was mind-blowing to me. I didn't even have a proper checkout system. I was using a merchant account through my bank, which was just a whole mess to set up. And I was duct taping things together. We didn't have all the tools and all the incredible systems that we do now that makes business so easy. And everything was just kind of messy. It was manual. It was confusing. And I had to figure it out because that's what I wanted to do. And it worked. And that one client gave me the clarity as to what I actually wanted to focus on, because I realized very quickly that life coaching is actually not for me. And I was naturally drawn to talking about marketing instead, which is what a lot of my background had been. But also working with her gave me a lot of confidence to keep going. You know, even though I was dealing with imposter syndrome, even though a lot felt like it was going against me, she felt grateful. She enjoyed the experience, and that is all really I needed to continue. But what really catapulted things for me was launching my first group coaching program. Now, I talk about that in other videos, but for me, I realized that because I was working in a 9-to-5 job, I didn't have the energy or the time to also work with a lot of one-on-one clients. And I also didn't feel confident enough to charge the huge rates that a lot of other coaches were charging because, I mean, I was newer in the space and it just didn't fully make sense. So I worked with a mentor. She helped me create my first group coaching program, and I started launching it. And that's how I began my journey into this whole new world of online sales, which was so new to me. I never considered myself to be a salesperson. All the previous businesses I had were just, honestly, they kind of felt like luck. Like, my photography is what sold things for me. I had steady companies that I worked for and I did event photography for them. I'd have my wellness blog and again, brands just wanted to pay me. So I never really had to be in a position where I had to actively sell. It felt quite natural. But now in this business, it was a whole new thing. But as soon as I started having people sign up for this group coaching program where I didn't have to actually do any one-on-one calls, I realized that this is how I can actually scale. It was like, that's the moment where everything started to click. And within a few months, I started to make 6 figures a year. And I was working for myself full time because I was able to quit my job, having this group coaching program and having my business after learning all of that. Now, back then, setting up a funnel meant paying for 10 different tools and hoping that I'm not going to go broke in the process. But when new tools came out, it was the first time that I actually felt like, okay, things can be simple. So I honestly wish that back then we had what all of you guys have access to now, because back then, like, you needed to hire developers, you needed to like really duct tape everything together and paid a lot of money to make it all work. But now it's so much easier. All of my programs, checkouts, upsells, automations, they all run through such simpler platforms like Thrivecart. And I recommend it to all my clients for that exact reason. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, that first year changed everything for me. I quit my job. I stopped asking for permission to take vacation days. I remember buying a MacBook just for coaching. Like, this is my business now. Like, I am for real and I can actually do this. But more than anything though, I finally had like confidence. I had freedom. I had this like, yes, like I've got this. I had built something that didn't just make me money. It gave me back my time. Now, I want to share with you the 10 steps that you can take. And they're based on the lessons that I've had to learn from the last 11 years of running my coaching business. So hopefully you can get to that place of having success a lot faster than I did. The first step is to pick a specific group of people that you want to help. Now, it's very common that I'll hear from clients and students saying that they just want to help everyone because they want to alienate everyone. They want to be inclusive. And while I love where that's coming from, the more you talk to everyone, the more you actually exclude the right people who do actually want to work with you. You might think it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but in fact, what's happening in the space right now is that there's really no barrier to entry, right? Anyone can create an Instagram account. Anyone can create a YouTube account. Anyone can start selling offers online just like you can. If you focus on anyone who wants to lose weight, that's a gigantic amount of people. And guess what? Those people are probably going to hire someone who has more credibility, who has more testimonials, who's been in the space longer. So for you to start standing out, you want to start becoming laser specific. Who are those people that can actually benefit from the work that you do? Who are those particular human beings? Maybe it's people that you've already helped in your career. Maybe it's people that you just feel passionate about. Maybe it's something else. But the more specific you can be, the easier it's going to be for you to actually communicate to them. And they will hear you and they will think you have the solution because you're calling them out specifically. The second one is you want to find one problem they already know they want solved. Now, this is huge. A lot of times people come up with, hey, I just want to help people with health. I just want to help people with relationships. I just want to help people with whatever, right? And it's a topic that you're interested in. But just because you're interested in a topic doesn't mean that your ideal clients who are willing, ready, and able to pay for your service or offer are going to be willing to invest that money. The main way to make this process faster, where you are not only speaking to the right people, but you're also speaking to people who are already ready and looking for a solution and they're ready to pay for a solution, is to speak to, it has to be a problem. Your offer has to solve a specific problem, but it has to be a problem that they are already aware of. It has to be a problem that they're looking to solve right now. So instead of trying to go broad and instead of trying to fix a lot of different issues that maybe aren't as urgent, ask yourself, how urgent is this problem for them? How much money have they invested in trying to solve this problem already? Why are they looking to solve this problem? And what is exactly that problem? Because I bet you if you're, say, targeting moms, there's a lot of problems that moms have. And you don't want to just speak to moms as a whole, because again, that's a huge amount of population, and also moms that are just burnt out. That's like almost every mom, right? So how can you laser focus on a specific problem that this mom, for example, is already looking for? What is the solution that she's looking for? What is the problem that she's looking to get solved? What is something she's already paid money for to get solved? That's going to be your golden ticket. 3, create a simple offer that gets them a result before making it fancy. I know that you might be very creative and you might want to do all the things and you're like, wow, I just want to make sure they get help with all the things I could possibly ever help them with. And I want them to feel super satisfied. So you over deliver. But a lot of times over delivering, while it comes from the right place, it actually makes your offer more confusing. It makes your offer challenging to communicate, to be totally honest. Because again, if you're trying to deliver on multiple outcomes and multiple potential results, or maybe the result that your ideal clients are looking to receive isn't as clearly stated. For example, a clear result would be, I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. An unclear result would be, I'm going to help you lose weight, or I'm going to help you have a better body, right? So that's not quite as clear. You want to identify a very specific problem and create a simple offer. They don't need all the bells and whistles. They don't need beautiful branding. They don't need a gorgeous logo or all these different fancy things. They don't really care about that. The most important thing they care about is, what result am I getting? And are you the person to help me get it? And how exactly are you going to help me get it? That's all you need to figure out. And the more clearly you can communicate that, the easier it will be for this person to be like, here's my money, let's do it. But before you get into selling, this is an important thing. Number 4, pre-sell before you build the program. Now, I don't know what kind of offer you'll create. We have other videos where I talk about different types of offers you can create and build. But the biggest thing that I always tell my clients is not to build your offer. If you're creating an online course, a group coaching program, any kind of program, you might think that I need to build the whole thing. And then you spend weeks, if not months, building it, making it pretty, creating the slide decks. And look, I used to make that same mistake because I thought, well, my course has to be done. Because when I sign up for courses, they're done. And yeah, you might think that's correct. But if you've never sold an offer like this before, you might actually not know what people truly want. So instead of building something that you later realize no one actually cared about enough to want to pay for, and you just wasted months of your time building an offer that, again, no one wanted to actually pay for, focus on pre-selling it. This is actually what I did in the beginning. This was a mistake that I did in the beginning. The very first online course I created was about content marketing. I didn't know that no one cares about content marketing. Only marketers even use the phrase content marketing, at least back then. But even nowadays, we don't say content marketing. We say get more reach. We say get more likes, get more followers, right? We don't necessarily say content marketing unless we're in the marketing industry. I was in the marketing industry, so of course I called it content marketing. I got some people as beta testers for free. Of course, who doesn't like free stuff? But as soon as I attempted to sell it and ask people to actually give me money for it, it was crickets. Now, I would have been able to save myself weeks of building this course if I had just tried selling it beforehand, selling some spots early, giving myself a deadline for, okay, this is when the program is beginning. You can pay me a special rate before, so that you can join this program, and then you'll start getting access to it as it's built. That would have saved me so much time, and it's what I do pretty much exclusively now. Number 5, use one channel to start with and share how you can actually help people consistently. Now, a lot of times people think that you have to be everywhere in order to be successful. We hear it all the time from all kinds of social media experts. Make sure that you have an account on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and whatever else is out there. And what I found is that when you're getting started, it's already overwhelming enough to create content, period. Then when you think about how often you have to do it and where you have to do it, and then you multiply that by multiple platforms, it's so easy to get so overwhelmed and so burnt out. And then you stop doing it. So therefore you get no clients and sales. So instead of trying to be everywhere, my highest recommendation is just to get really good in one platform, whether that's Instagram, whether that's TikTok, whether that's YouTube. Commit to that one channel for at least the next 3 months and be consistent. Show up frequently. You're going to need to start identifying what your audience is going to resonate with. And if you're starting with no audience at all, it is going to be harder than somebody who has an existing audience, of course. So you're going to want to really push yourself creatively and also just by experimenting with different topics and seeing how could I reach more people? How can I get out there in different ways? And again, It's going to be a little bit harder in the beginning, but honestly, it's not going to last that long, because once you figure out what people actually respond to, what are the angles, what are the topics, what are the different things you can just talk about, that suddenly you'll be like, this Instagram reel is getting way more reach than the other ones. Interesting. Maybe let me do that again. And you get to become really good at that one platform, which is how you'll grow a lot faster. Next, we've got number 6. Share real stories, not just tips. This is the biggest thing. If somebody just wants education or just information, they're going to go on ChatGPT. If they want a human being to connect with, if they want to hire someone, if they want to purchase somebody's program course, that happens from a connection standpoint, from a human to human conversation. How do we connect as human beings? Through stories. We're wired for stories. So don't worry about whether you are super experienced or you've had tons of testimonials, you've had all these incredible credentials. People don't actually care about that. They care about being human and seeing you as a human. They care about that way more than anything else. So ask yourself, are there any specific stories in your life that you can speak to? They don't always even have to be related to your niche. You can take any story that has happened in your life and make it relevant to your niche. I can talk about dating and bring it back to business. I can talk about how I lost weight when I was younger and bring that back to business. There's a way for you to integrate any kind of story into the niche that you are currently in. But you want to be vulnerable. Want to be okay with sharing those parts of yourself, because if you're only sharing tips, how-tos, tutorials, that's what people are going to come to you expecting. And people don't pay for tips. They don't pay for tutorials because they expect that for free. Next, we've got number 7. Set up a simple checkout and delivery system. This is where ThriveCart saved my life. I used to use so many different tools that were very expensive. I used Infusionsoft, that's just very expensive. I got really bad deliverability. I had to use a merchant account that I set up with my bank. I mean, I don't even know how I was able to set all that stuff up. I have no idea. And it was just very complicated. Of course, tech can feel overwhelming if you haven't done it before, but look, you can figure it out, especially because the tools that we have available nowadays, they just make it so easy. This is why I love ThriveCart. I recommend ThriveCart to all of my clients because it is a one-time payment. You are able to easily start collecting your own payments, and you can have as many offers as you want. You can host your courses, your products, your digital products on the platform. They will receive an email as soon as they purchase. The access will be removed. If they're purchasing a course, that's a payment plan, the access will be removed automatically if they stop paying. It's so simple. And especially if you're still working in a 9-to-5 job, you need all the extra time that you can get so you can focus on the things that actually move the needle, not the manual delivery and the checkouts and all the things. It is worth it to pay a little bit upfront to have a system that feels reliable and it can make your life a lot easier. So I highly, highly recommend that you check them out. There's a reason why I'm on this channel. There's a reason why I talk about this, even though I've been business coaching for 11 years. And it's because I truly believe in this platform. Focus on getting 3 to 5 people actual results. Don't worry about getting thousands of followers. Focus on actual results with actual human beings. This is way more important than being famous or going viral. Being famous, going viral, having a lot of followers is actually not what's going to get you sales. What's going to get you sales is your confidence growing because you're actually helping people. And those people seeing results because they're going to tell other people too. This is how you're going to refine what you're truly good at. What are the things that you can help somebody? And you can start to laser focus on that. Plus, you'll get case studies, you'll get testimonials, you'll get results. And that's also what sells your offers. It's not just creating engaging viral content. In fact, I've never gone viral. And yet, I think I've done pretty well for myself. So focus on real human connection, focus on supporting your clients, getting clear on what kind of results are you wanting to provide for this client, and structure your offer in a way that actually delivers on that promise. Number 9, turn what's worked into a repeatable process. This is really important too, because if you're starting with just working with one-on-one clients, which is what you probably will start, eventually you'll come to a point where you will find yourself repeating a lot, or repeating the same things to each client. And you'll find yourself being like, okay, well, I said the same thing. I said the same process. I taught the same process to multiple clients. How can I start to turn this into a framework? How can I turn this into my own system? How can I brand it? How can I realize that what I've been doing with these clients is my own way of doing it? And how can I really start working on my IP? How can I start building something that is an asset that I can actually hold on to? This is what allows regular coaches or regular service providers to become leaders in their space. It's not just that you get results, it's that, and also the fact that you have a repeatable process. So when you've worked with these 3 to 5 clients, ask yourself, what are the things I did frequently? What are the things that made the biggest difference for people? And what are the things that I put my own spin on? Of course, you probably have learned a lot of these things through your career, the work that you've done in corporate maybe, or maybe from other coaches and mentors and courses that you've taken. That's fine. But the more you actually work with real human beings, you want to ask yourself, how do I make this mine? How do I integrate my own personality, my own way of doing it so I can make this my own? And lastly, number 10 is slowly automate and scale, but don't skip the messy middle. There will be a lot that's going on. There will be things that you'll have to manually do for a while, longer than you want, but start to look for ways in which you can start automating some of the tasks, some of the processes. This is again, like why I think having ThriveCart is such a valuable tool, because like I mentioned, you can have people start getting on payment plans where they are automatically charged for a payment instead of you having to send a manual invoice and then wait for them to pay and stuff like that, which is just a hassle. This is an easy thing that you can start automating by having a great platform like ThriveCart. Start to look at what are the topics that people are resonating with and how can I start to incorporate that more? Think about, okay, this is the type of content that's working. Maybe you start integrating paid ads into the equation, but don't do it too quickly. You want to do it in a way where you feel empowered and you feel like, okay, I am aware of all the things that I'm doing in my business and I can start to pinpoint certain areas that can be systemized or automated so that I can start having more time for myself, which is where everything else starts to unlock for you. But don't try to get to this point. Don't try to skip forward to the automation and the scaling, because you can't scale what isn't working. You scale what is working, and you're not going to know what is or isn't working until you've been doing it a little bit for a while at least. Okay. So that's my biggest feedback for you as well. Now, if there's one thing you might have taken away from this video, is that online business has gotten really easy in the last few years. And if you haven't started one before, you might not be sure why that is. This is why I have this video that I want you to watch next, where we'll talk about how online business is currently in easy mode, like right now, and anyone can blow up if they follow the right process. This allows you to take advantage of this really special time in history where you can start to build and grow an online business and start making life-changing money. I'll see you in there.